Hello, crypto boys and ghouls, and welcome back to the channel, Tales from the Cryptmancer, where we feature content on play-to-earn games on the blockchain, such as Splinterlands. And then today I have a video where I want to provide a critical and key tokenomics update coming out of the fabulous town hall that we had yesterday, where Matt talked for like 2 hours about all things Splinterlands, SPS, DEC, and bots as well were brought up. So let's go through this detailed breakdown, and I think it's going to be an interesting conversation for us here. And let's start by talking about what's coming, when it's coming, and why it all matters. And the first thing I want to start by talking about are the SPS ranked battle rewards. And these new SPS ranked battle rewards are projected to arrive in roughly August or September, so in about anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks out. But there aren't guarantees from the development team at this point, but that's kind of what they're shooting for. And let's hear a brief clip from the town hall where Matt summarizes what this step in Splinterlands tokenomics will mean moving forward for us.
We are going to be switching from DEC rewards to SPS rewards. That's also like a really important thing about this whole economy design. So the idea of SPS being the governance token of the system is we call this like proof of skill or proof of play. You know, there's proof of work and proof of stake and all these things. So realistically, you know, since we launched this, the original idea for SPS was that the best players in the highest leagues, tournament winners, people participating in guild brawls, the land expansion, like generally people who are adding value, time, and energy into the game will be the ones earning SPS. Now, for the last year, we had it where all you had to do was hold Splinterlands assets. So that was the initial very simple distribution for everyone. And I want to mention that even at current prices, we'll have given out about $20 million worth of SPS as part of the airdrop to players. So players who held Splinterlands assets over the last year, even if at the current prices right now, not taking into account that they were higher for most of that time, is about $20 million that were given out for free for players. But now that that period's ending, it's going to switch to players who actively play the game and move up to higher levels are the ones who are going to be earning SPS. That's going to be the primary way to earn SPS. Ranked battles, guild brawls, tournaments, eventually land, those type of things. So that was always the plan from the beginning. There's no change there. And then by using that as the reward currency, it will stop basically the minting of DEC. So the only ways DEC will be minted will basically be from card burning, mostly. And then DEC will be the transactional token of the game. So there won't be any more of this, minting pressure on the prices. It will just be simply based on the demand for the product. So I think overall, this change is going to stabilize DEC, which will be, again, I think a really important thing for this ecosystem. And then also allow, the best and top level, most engaged players to be the ones earning the SPS. And therefore, if they hold that SPS and stake it, have more and more governance voting power in the system when that's released too.
So quite the interesting news alpha there. And what's also interesting is if you haven't yet listened to Aftersound's video from last night talking about the recap of the DEC rewards we get currently versus the future SPS rewards, definitely you should do so. Aftersound has great content on YouTube here, and definitely check that video out. I'm going to provide a link to the video in this video description below. But the TLDR, if you want just a quick summary, is, at current values, the game is issuing approximately $336 worth of DEC to all players in the game, humans and bots included, right now in DEC value daily. Now, what's going to change is once the SPS battle rewards are introduced and DEC rewards are moved out of rotation here, it's going to mean basically at the current value of SPS, which is roughly about 4.5 cents, the games could be dropping $11,000 in daily SPS rewards to players in the game on a daily basis in SPS, which is huge. That's a big multiplier, a big increase in value that's going to go to players. And if you extrapolate that over the course of a full year, 12 months, Splinterlands is going to be giving out over $4 million worth of SPS annually to players. And this also doesn't count the voucher value that will be given out, if players were to restake that SPS in the game. So that's really quite insane when you really think about that. The game that we're playing here, or if you're not playing, you probably should be looking at playing, and there's a link in the video description below as well on how to get started in Splinterlands. But what game pays its players $4 million a year to play the game? That is crazy, and it should be a headline on pretty much any major news outlet, honestly. It's just that awesome. So, I guess let's talk about another topic here on tokenomics. And with the end of the SPS airdrop and the introduction of SPS battle rewards in just a few short weeks, we're going to have a significantly reduced supply of new SPS on the market with relatively the same sell pressure. And that could likely result in an increase in SPS prices in the near term based on this fact alone. Now, obviously, this is not financial advice. I can't predict what the SPS price will be in the future, but I think it's important to listen in to what Agrod and Matt have to say about this essentially reduction of supply of SPS. So let's listen in here.
You mentioned that the airdrop is ending, and it's kind of a big deal. That happens in I think 15 days. Sometimes we talk about like the Bitcoin halving. When the airdrop ends, is that half the supply? Is it more than half the supply? Is it will it be roughly half the supply when we turn these other faucets on? Like, do you have a ballpark number in terms of just how big of a deal or how big of a shock this whole economy is about to get in the next 14 or 15 days?
Yeah, I mean, all these numbers are also in the white paper, so anyone can look there and see this. But the airdrop is giving out approximately 33 million tokens a month. That's 1.1 million tokens roughly every day. And initially, since all the new reward pools won't be available initially, it'll be well over a 50% drop in the SPS given out on a daily basis. And then as we add more reward pools, that will offset it. Like, ranked rewards is 7.5 million a month. And I forget the numbers for the other ones. But overall, even once all of the new reward pools come into effect, some of which may be, quite a while out, it will still be a significant reduction in the overall supply.
Now, in addition to the reduction of SPS into the ecosystem via the SPS airdrop ending here in just roughly 2 weeks, we're also going to have, with the ranked battle rewards shifting to SPS, DEC is going to stop being minted. But the interesting thing here is that it's still going to be used for guild building upgrades, card skins, and land in the future. And that's a big component, DEC and land, that we haven't really heard so much about. But it's going to be obviously something that's going to be a big DEC sink moving forward. And let's listen in to what Matt has to say about DEC and the future here.
DEC will be the relatively stable transactional token in the game. So that means that's the token that you use to purchase packs. You can use it to purchase potions. You can use it for guild upgrades and different things, potentially skins. I would definitely like to do more of those in the future. Other things like skins, and then there's going to be a whole bunch in land where, you things that you can get or purchase with dark energy crystals.
Now, I want to make a note here that the importance of guild buildings should not be underestimated, with merits being pushed into the reward chests and tournaments subsequently allowing gladiator cards. Now, additionally, ranked battle bonuses from guild lodge building levels and merit bonuses from guild store building levels will be very important moving forward. And we can just take a look if I go into Splinterlands here and I show you like what our guild here, the Guild Dragons, has. Like, for example, our lodge bonus at a level 7 lodge is 9% to the reward shares that we're earning on the ranked battle rewards, and that's significant. So again, there's going to be substantial focus on these buildings and the bonuses that they provide, not only in the R share bonuses here, but also if you look at the store here, if you level up your stores, your guild, you get merit bonuses. In this case, we're only at a level 4 store, but we're getting 60% merit bonus moving forward out of those reward chests, which is a big deal. Now, the other thing that I would like to note is the consumption of DEC for land-based buildings is also a huge potential DEC sink, due to there being 150,000 plots of land coming online next year, and it's likely going to be a mad rush to level up buildings for spell and item production there on those plots of land. So you can imagine the DEC that will need to be consumed there. And what does this mean? Well, it means that DEC in circulation will start declining. And let's also not forget that in under 2 weeks, there's also going to be a large amount of DEC, if DEC value remains below peg, that will be used to buy Chaos Legion packs from the in-game store for a discount, essentially taking this DEC off the market. And then when you factor in SPS burn mechanics being implemented in the future, well, this really starts to get interesting. So let's talk a bit about SPS burn mechanics, and let's first hear from the team and what they have to say on this topic.
Where the idea is you'll be able to burn $1 worth of SPS tokens for 1,000 dark energy crystals. And this way, as people put money into dark energy crystals in order to buy Splinterlands products, all the value from that really flows into the SPS token, which is what we want. We want the value from the game, the value from more people putting in money into the ecosystem to go into the SPS token. Now, we didn't have that when the SPS token launched and through the airdrop period, so that's why we saw the price of dark energy crystals go up so much, and it wasn't being, siphoned off into SPS, which is the goal. So that mechanism has worked really well in a number of other platforms. And I don't see any reason it wouldn't work very well in Splinterlands too. But the flip side of it is where it gets really interesting, in my opinion. So, we had projects like Terra Luna, and we saw how the flip side of that didn't work so well. So it worked fantastically when there was a lot of value coming in. People were burning Luna, printing UST, and everything worked great. On the flip side, when value was coming out and people were selling out of the system, it all collapsed. But the way we have it set up is that dark energy crystals, you can't burn them to get SPS. Instead, the value of those are backed by Splinterlands products. And I think that's a pretty unique thing. I haven't seen that any other type of stable coin that's product backed. And I think there's a really big opportunity for us to have a pretty exciting kind of new product in the crypto space, which is this product backed stable coin. But one thing that can't happen is we can't be infinitely minting dark energy crystals as part of rewards and part of all these things like we're currently doing now. So right now we're seeing, based on the amount of DEC being minted out into the ecosystem as compared to the current demand for Splinterlands products, the equilibrium is lower than 1,000 DEC for $1. But as we mentioned in the recent ranked rewards posts, we are going to be switching from DEC rewards to SPS rewards. That's also like a really important thing about this whole economy design.
Now, this will be implemented when needed. For example, when DEC is above peg value. So it's not necessarily going to be immediately or in the near future, but it is something that will be implemented as needed. And it's already obviously, on the roadmap and part of the Splinterlands team's planning here. for SPS burning, which is interesting. Now, I also want to talk about Rift Watchers. Now, when we talk about Rift Watchers, what's interesting here in the tokenomics around SPS to note is if we look here, the total market cap of SPS as a token right now is $37.669 million. Now, what we know is that Rift Watchers here in August, in roughly, well, between 2 to 6 weeks, there's going to be 3 million packs available for sale at $5 a pack. Now, the catch here is you can only buy the Rift Watcher packs via SPS. And if Rift Watchers were to sell out, well, that's $15 million of US dollars going to the SPS DAO treasury, and that means you and I. Now, it's unknown how vouchers will play into the mix here for Rift Watchers, but we can assume there's going to be some form of voucher pre-sale activity taking place as well outside of the SPS cost here. Now, what's interesting about the Rift Watchers sale is was also mentioned that there are going to be summoners as part of the Rift Watchers card set, epic summoners to be exact, and that's going to make these packs very desirable, especially if you look at the summoners, for example, coming out of DICE, where you had Mylor, Lorna, Brighton Bloom. I think Ouster was part of that as well. So definitely some very, very valuable cards that were in DICE and could be in Rift Watchers as well moving forward for us. Now, what's interesting is if you take the current value of SPS, and if we take 3 million Rift Watcher packs being for sale for $5 each, which is $15 million if everything were to sell out, we divide that by the current cost of SPS. What does that tell us? It tells us that 333.33 million SPS are going to be basically swept into the SPS DAO treasury and taken off the market. Well, what's interesting to see here is that the total SPS supply right now in the market is 834 million. So let's do the math here. And of the total circulating supply, let's see what that percentage is. So right here, if we look at it, it's roughly 40% of the entire circulating supply of SPS would immediately be ushered into the SPS DAO for SPS holders like yourself and myself to be able to use in the future. So 40% of the total supply would be taken off the market, which obviously provides upwards price pressure for SPS if we sold out of Rift Watchers pretty quickly and at the current SPS price of 0.045 cents. Now, what's even more interesting is if you look here, the total staked right now in SPS is 436 million. The total liquid is 398 million. Now, it's probably likely that some of this staked SPS would be unstaked and used to purchase Rift Watcher packs, but let's just say a majority of the SPS used to purchase Rift Watcher packs came from the liquid stake or the liquid SPS in the market. Well, obviously, if we take 333 million divided by the liquid stake, which is only 398.395 million SPS, well, it's basically saying that over 83% of the total liquid SPS would be consumed by the purchase or the sell out of the Rift Watchers card pack. That's insane because that would mean tremendous price pressure would be applied to SPS in the market with that amount of the liquid supply being consumed by the purchase of Rift Watcher packs. So do what you will with that information. Obviously not financial advice, but something to consider. Now, also, if we look forward in the future, the second phase of SPS ranked battle rewards would be SPS player staking. Now, this is farther in the future. The team has said sometime past September is when they look to implement this. And let's check out what Matt has to say about this being a major driver of utility for SPS moving forward.
I mean, the idea is that you're not going to be able to earn rewards just by getting cards and playing. You will also need SPS tokens staked on you. This is actually going to be the main and most important utility for SPS. So anyone, we see a lot of people saying, hey, we need more utility for SPS. Yes, that this is the main one, is to earn any rewards in the game from ranked battles, ranked battles in particular. You're going to need SPS staked on you. Now, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to have to buy the SPS yourself. So that's what Agrod was talking about, of like staking on Yasik or someone. We didn't want it to be a case where like everyone was forced to purchase SPS themselves in order to earn those rewards. But anyone who has SPS staked can choose to stake it on other players in addition to themselves. So it was actually, I think, a pretty cool design that we're planning on, where if you come into the game and you're a good player and you are winning battles, other players who have staked SPS, have extra staked SPS, will be incentivized to stake some on you, right? That helps them earn more rewards, and it will help you earn more rewards as well. So it'll be a combination of both. Some players will want to buy SPS to stake more on themselves. Some players who are just more skilled at the game or have better card collections may not need to, and other players may stake on them. But that's definitely a much more complicated system to build, and that's going to be, I think right after we do kind of the switch to SPS rewards, that's going to be the next kind of economy thing that we're going to tackle. And I just want everyone to keep in mind, like, that is ultimately going to be the main utility for SPS, that and governance voting, is that in order to come in and earn rewards in the game, someone is going to have staked SPS to stake on you, whether it's you or someone else.
So what this means is that to earn SPS, you have to stake SPS, either yourself or have someone else stake SPS on your playing account. And are you seeing a pattern here across all of these changes to the tokenomics of the game? It's the Splinterlands dev team is continuing to drive value to the SPS token with every game mechanic being introduced. And this flywheel is being set so that players of the game are continually rewarded for their efforts and involvement with the game and its tokens. And let's also not forget about SPS nodes, which are still being sold. And you can refer to our previous videos on this topic for reference. Now, SPS nodes will continue to burn SPS, further reducing circulating supply of the SPS token in the market, which again has a net positive effect over time on SPS pricing. And last but perhaps not least, we have the potential for other games or ecosystem components that tie in with SPS within the Splinterlands ecosystem, and that could add additional value to either the SPS tokens or SPS token holders via airdrops. Now, in summary, what is the not financial advice from the Splinterlands dev team? Let's have a listen.
To me, I see kind of August and maybe into September being like a big turning point for the SPS token. We don't speculate on prices, but just in general, this first year was kind of this distribution phase. It was, hey, we've had all these players who have been a part of the game for a long time, have put a bunch of money in, have gotten all these assets, and we're just, we need some initial distribution of this token. And so we've just been giving it out. Like I said, at current prices, about $20 million has just been given out, right? So that was the distribution phase. And I guess it's not surprising, to think about the price. There's also a bear market, but even without that, we've just been at the initial phase is just give out tokens to all of our players who have been with us and who have owned and hodled assets. But now the distribution phase is ending pretty soon, 15 or so days, as Aggie said. And so now we're going into like what I like to think of the value and utility phase, right? So the distribution going forward is going to be to the people who provide the most, who put the most into the system, not just money, but time, skill, all these things. It's going to be far less than in the distribution phase. And then we're going to start adding in all the things that give utility to the token. So there's things like Rift Watchers, obviously, right away. Then there's going to be governance, and there's going to be staking, which is going to be required to continue earning rewards.
So in summary, this is all very, very exciting news to any Splinterlands player, investor, or asset holder. This summer is going to be crazy. We're going to see, I think, some big changes in the game. We've already seen rewards go up substantially for players across all levels of the game. And I think it's only going to get better, which is going to likely, again, not financial advice, but likely impact the assets of cards and other pieces of the ecosystem like the tokens in a positive fashion. So what do you think? Are you impressed with some of these tokenomic changes around SPS, DEC, and the upcoming game mechanic changes? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, keep stacking those stats.
That's entertainment.